it's Chrissy, known online as Wootini, here with one of my Gay Gamer video podcasts. You might notice I have a new Animal Crossing t-shirt. The KK Slider one from Uniqlo. I happened to be down at Atlantic Center, and I was going to Target and Best Buy the other week, and I just walked around to see what they had, and they still had some Animal Crossing stuff. And it's annoying because the kids t-shirts are actually cooler designs than the adult Animal Crossing t-shirts. Adults play Animal Crossing. But this was the only one that I was like, oh, this one's kind of cool. It's like a little KK Slider quote, and there's actually like there's a little KK Slider on the back side of the t-shirt. This was the only one that I actually kind of liked, but I wasn't gonna like order it online and stuff. But since I was standing there and they had my size in the store, I was like, I'm going to get it. They did have a really cool beach towel with Gulliver washed ashore, but they didn't have it at that particular Uniqlo because it's, I guess, a smaller store, so I would have to order that online, except I don't see myself going to the beach this summer, so probably not really worth spending $30 on a beach towel. I do want to do a couple of movie reviews real quick. First, I went to see The Green Knight, which is a telling of the Arthurian legend of Gawain and the Green Knight, which I was actually not terribly familiar with, even though I did take an Arthurian legend class in college. But I looked up the legend afterwards, and it's actually a pretty faithful telling of the general tale. It was good, but it was it's visually stunning. Like, there are so many shots in this film that are like just works of art. The problem is that it's very dreamlike, and it's a lot of symbolism, and it's all very visual and stuff, which ends up being stunning to watch. But it's like a mood piece. Like, it's in no hurry to tell the story. It's just sort of very leisurely paced, so it's a bit slow. And you don't really, like, it doesn't develop characters at all. There's not a lot of dialogue, because it's very visual. So, like, I never made any kind of, like, emotional connection, you know, so at the end I wasn't like, oh, this is terrible, or, oh, that's good. You know, like, I was just sort of like, okay, that happened, and it looked great. But if you're in the mood for a stunning visual film, you could do a lot worse. I did make a point of seeing it after work on Friday, because looking at the AMC app, it's a smaller movie, so it's in smaller theaters, so they tend to crowd up, and I was like, ugh. So it was really annoying that on the weekend, the various screenings were like a lot more crowded, and a lot more seats were filled, and I need to have some distance between me and the other people in the theater. So I ended up going on Friday to a 4 o'clock show, which still had a bunch of people in it, but they weren't around me. Because what I found is that a lot of people like to sit in the back of the movie theater, and I'm like, bitch, just watch it on TV then. You know, you gotta be up big screen, up close, but whatever. Speaking of big screen, the other movie that I saw was The Suicide Squad, which I had actually considered I would go see in IMAX, but my husband was also like, let's watch this on HBO Max, and then whatever. So I'm like, okay, like, he wanted to see it, so, and he's not going to the movie theater with me, so, and I certainly wouldn't pay for an IMAX ticket for another person. So it might have been really cool in IMAX, but on TV it was just sort of like entertaining. I don't know if a bigger screen would have helped. Probably not, because my main problem with The Suicide Squad is it's really long, and the pacing is kind of off. It's much more entertaining than the previous Suicide Squad movie. This one is a little grim and violent, but it has a sense of humor about the gore, so it's more entertaining, and there's some great jokes, and it's funny, but, like, you know, the team has a mission, and that's fine, but then every so often they're just like, oh, but right now we need to go and do a scene with Harley Quinn, and let's have a section with Harley Quinn because everyone loves Harley Quinn. And I'm like, not everybody. So I felt like that sort of like I didn't mind when they paused the movie to try to develop the characters a little more and give them some background and make them sympathetic, so when they died you cared. But like to pause the movie to just let Margot Robbie chew up some scenery as Harley Quinn, it was not as entertaining as I think they thought it is, at least for me anyway. But it's entertaining, it's fun, and it's on HBO Max. If you have HBO Max, it costs you nothing to watch it, so not like the Disney movies. So enjoy. It's entertaining. And there's also a great shot of John Cena in his tighty whities, which is extremely enjoyable. As for games, I have continued to be playing the great Ace Attorney Chronicles and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I have seemed to have figured out a way to play them both at the same time. Because it's always difficult, because I wanted to play Ace Attorney, but I'm still not done with Valhalla, and I'm probably not going to be for like another month, so I'm like trying to justify, like, well, it's a totally different kind of game, so I can play this one when I'm in the mood for that, and I can play that when I'm in the mood for that. But it ended up working out that way. That wasn't just me justifying wasting money on another game that I don't need right now. It ended up working out because 80% of the gameplay in Ace Attorney is reading. So you're reading, and like playing it after work and stuff, I'm like kind of tired. It's, you know, in the evening and I'm getting a little run down. So if I'm a little tired and I'm reading and I'm just like click, 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 and I'm like, my eyes get heavy and I start to doze off. So once my eyes start getting really heavy and I feel like I'm not really paying attention to the story and the clues and following the mystery, I'm like, all right, let me just pause this, save my game, and we'll go play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where I'm like running and jumping and attacking and doing things, and it's more active, and it keeps me awake. And in fact, it will wake me up. Like playing Ace Attorney, I should play that before bed, because it's like reading a book before bed. It, you know, tires out your eyes, and then you can sleep better. But I'm still enjoying Ace Attorney. I'm only on the second case, and they're clearly like, you know, I'm not an attorney yet. They're telling a story. But I am once again on trial for murder. I mean, not trial, but like I'm accused of murder again. And I'm just like, is every case going to be me defending myself? I'd like to defend someone else of murder. Not me. Stop accusing me of murder. But now they have introduced the character of, Sherlock Sholmes, who is of course ridiculous, as most Ace Attorney characters are. And they've introduced a new gameplay element where he, as the master detective, presents his theory of this is how it happened. And then you have to go in and be like, well, actually, no, that's not what happened. It's actually this. Because you go in and then it allows you to, because the graphics are three-dimensional, you can like move the camera around from the fixed viewpoint from before, when you could just see what you could see. Now it gives you the opportunity to like pan around and move the camera to see other clues that you couldn't see before, and then one of those clues will be what makes sense. And then Herlock is like, oh hey, that is correct. That's what I meant to say, because he's useless. So that's a fun new gameplay element that I'm enjoying. Although I will say that this second case has taken a weird dark turn that is a little serious for all of the goofiness of the Ace Attorney stuff. Like, the series has always been like super goofy, but this took a rather serious dark turn in the second case that I'm like, oh, did they really do this? That's dark. But anyway, I won't spoil it for anyone who's planning on playing the game. And then I did want to talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because they have a big, the Sigurblot Festival, which is another thing to distract you from your main quest in the game. There are a bunch of errands and side questy things that you do to help prepare the festival and prepare the sacrifice, you know, get the offerings together and offer them up to the gods and whatever. And you earn festival tokens that you can then use in the festival shop to purchase, like, new tattoos and new hairstyles and new settlement decorations and new weapons and stuff. So I did collect a bunch of those, and I tried to do everything. And I will say that one of the things that you had to do was to win a dice game of Orlog. And I hate Orlog. It's this dice game side quest thing that I never got. And I read the rules multiple times. I even looked online, and it still wasn't clicking in my head. So I kept losing, and I was like, well, this sucks. Luckily, you don't have to play the games. It's a total side thing. I haven't been forced to play a game in order to continue the story. But here, in order to finish the festival, I needed to finish that, and I was like, it was the last thing I need to do, and I was like, you're killing me with this. But then, something clicked, and I think it was this one rule that it never clicked in my head, and I didn't quite get it. Because once I got that rule, then I was like, okay. Because there's multiple levels. There's the dice, and it's versus dice. Then there's god powers, and then there's god tokens, and it's it was too complicated, and it wasn't clicking in my head. But then once it did click, I was finally able to win a frickin' game of Orlog. So it's not going to make me go and play more games of Orlog around the world, but at least it got me those tokens, and I was able to move along. I did eventually, I think there's still a couple more settlement decorations I might want to get, but I had to take a break from the festival stuff because I was like, no, I need to go back and do some story missions and stuff and have some fun in the game. But what I have noticed is that after this update that gave us the festival, I don't know if it was this update that did it, but I've noticed that the game isn't rendering properly right now. Not the way it used to. On the PS4, mind you, because you can't find a PS5 to save your life, so I'm still playing on the PS4. I'm exploring the world, and I am seeing, PS1 level textures. A statue that looks like it's out of a PS1 game, and I have to actually physically climb onto that statue in order to show the game that I am interacting with it, and it should render it fully. You know? Climbing up walls and rocks, the textures on the rocks look like PS1 textures. They're horrible, muddy textures. There's, it's just super low res, and I'm just like, what the hell, game? I actually went ahead and quit the game to restart the game in the hopes that maybe that would jog something, and it sort of seemed like it did fix it, but then as time went on, I found myself once again facing all these low-res textures, and certain things aren't fully rendering. I got a new tattoo, and I thought I might like it, but it looked like a muddy, pixely blur on my face, because the game just didn't feel like rendering that. Even in photo mode, it doesn't pump it up. And then later, when it does render the tattoo better and a little more detail, it actually looks kind of cool. But it's kind of driving me crazy, so I'm hoping that, I know there are a bunch of issues with the festival, that people are having some problems with it and stuff, so I'm hoping that they'll do an update to the game, and that maybe will also fix these rendering issues. I don't know, maybe it's just me. It can't be just me. I hope it's not just me. But it's not destroying my enjoyment of the game, but it is hampering it. Because visually it just starts to look a little shoddy, and you're like, come on, man, get it together. So, I don't know what's up with that. So, come back next episode, and I might have more to say about that. I might have more to say about Ace Attorney. I might have gone to see another movie. Who knows? You'll just have to come back and find out. Bye!